Yeah, I see it.
Seamless. Yeah,
Yeah,
nice. There we
and full
go.
control.
What's new with elizaOS is live. Borka's got a brand new screen share. Yeah, so if you're just tuning in, we're going to be having the next hour or so going through what we have been doing within the framework. There is a lot of moving parts. We have with us CJ, who is one of our lead engineers, and Borka, who's our product lead. Day in day out, they are on the grinds, putting the Lego bricks together and making some magic happen on the outside. But yeah, I have no real plan for the structure, so it's over to you guys, really. And yeah.
Let's go first here. Um, yeah, I can kick it off a bit. Like, what's new with elizaOS on the dev side? Um, so we are working. I would say development has actually been picking up. We are at like really like January 2024 levels of development right now. We're shipping a lot of pull requests. The team is extremely active. Um, our main thing, we're going for kind of a 2.0 release soon. We already did like V2, but you guys might know like we're on like technically it's like 1.5.10, but like the actual 2.0 release, my target is full browser support for elizaOS SDK, which is something that is very doable by us, but we just haven't really prioritized in the past. People have been pretty happy with Node.js, but we're trying to expand the developer integrations and just make it a more ecosystem friendly package. So you can say you're like integrating into like an enterprise existing web app, you can much easier include like elizaOS as just a client-side JavaScript SDK into your project. A lot of cool things in browser support, like local LLMs in your browser, MetaMask plugins, serverless functions, lots of good core tech there. So I've already got a proof of concept of the core and plugin SQL fully working in browser. But we're just going through all the plugins and making sure everything's up to date. But that's going to be a pretty big ship from the team soon. Um, yeah, that's what I'd say. Like, is my main push is browser, Eliza.
So breaking that down, so for the user, so an agent can go into the web browser and basically browse the web and interact with it through Eliza as the interface. I just want to check as well. You can hear me, okay? I've had somebody
Yeah, I
say
can
that.
hear you.
Yeah,
I can
cool.
hear you good. Yeah. Yeah. It's just a new paradigm for developers in terms of like so far like Eliza has been like a server only technology. All of our APIs, all of our JavaScript is only built and bundled for the Node.js side, which is totally fine. But we are a JavaScript TypeScript library, right? And one of the major benefits that we can have against like say Python libraries and other things is like we can be fully cross environment support. So there is a lot of builders that do browser AI agents. Um, like it is a lot simpler to write your AI agent logic intermixed with your client app logic instead of requiring to host a server to interact with the sockets. And you kind of have to do like dual development if you're writing like a front end web app with current Eliza. This browser stuff will make it so you actually don't need to host a persistent server at all. Um, and you can just directly use like the agent runtime like in your browser JavaScript, and it's a lot quicker development. You can write React components as plugins, which is pretty cool. Um, we're going to also probably ship a use Eliza React hook library to put all this together for people. This stuff that not everyone has. I would say like the other competitors and stuff, they are basically only server focused. But I think one of our big advantages can be leading the browser development of AI agents
Yeah.
as well.
I think on that note, so it's quite interesting. Like, I mean, I get to watch the core dev chat and you guys kind of explore where we can take the framework and what's maybe an opportunity for us. So like you don't you've had a look at Vassell and Manus, I believe, are the two kind of we kind of said like they're the lead web 2 frameworks, right? So like it's interesting that you think interacting with a web browser is like or like a niche or a USP that we can own. I think that makes a lot of sense. Like what else from that exploration did you think was an opportunity for Eliza? What is there anything that came out of those product and dev conversations that we've actioned alongside the web browser?
Yeah, a browser extension is something that the Spartan team actually has like a POC shipped, and so um, again with the browser stuff, if we were to ship a production browser extension, so like say, like you have like MetaMask, like in your browser. What's the other one for like the meetings and stuff? Like Loom. Loom is a very popular one. So you could imagine an Eliza Loom thing that is like listening to all of your tabs. It's able to like translate like your content on your page. It's able to like give you suggestions on like the content you're browsing, and you can just like say like, hey Eliza, like please fill out like this form page, like my address and you have my credit card information, please like complete this checkout on the Amazon website that I'm currently working on. This is like KUA, computer usage agents. And like what is the easiest package for this, and like how would it be best done in a browser is most likely a browser extension. It doesn't really work great as like a website. It doesn't really work great on a server hosted thing, because how does a server control your browser on a local machine? You need something actually running in the browser. So the browser extension is pretty exciting. Where there is the Claude extension, I've seen a couple of companies they're starting to get into this. But yeah, so our browser SDK support will like support building those kind of like extension experiences a lot easier, and kind of unlock like a whole new product dev, as well as like mobile apps, right? Like you can't really host a server on a mobile app, so like yeah, if you want to make a desktop app or just yeah, I think it's just going to explode the breadth of products that people are able to make on Eliza, and I think it's going to be pretty big. I think it's going to be popular, especially the
Nice.
React kitties. A lot of people use React.
So post from is that like, does that conflict with TypeScript, or is that moving away from TypeScript, or is that just a different
No,
component within the
no,
framework?
no, no.
Is it
React is just
different end?
it's the largest
Yeah.
front end UI
Yeah.
library in TypeScript. It's all still TypeScript. It's just allowing allowing more people to include Eliza in more diverse projects.
Nice. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm just there's a question in from somebody in the community that I thought we might just sort of answer quickly as well. How can Eliza be used to spin up agents on Farcaster? That's quite interesting. Like, so just for context, I guess to anyone who's listening in, we are fully focused on how we can use Farcaster as a UI for agents to be, I guess, interacted with. It's a very dynamic social network. It's also decentralized, which we've learned is quite important recently. And I think like we are right at the start of let's say a deeper partnership with the Farcaster team and also the Farcaster ecosystem. I think that's a great question. Like, how can Eliza be used to spin up agents on Farcaster? This is a nice open. How can we approach that as a channel?
Yeah, I've been looking. I haven't actually worked on Farcaster quite yet, but yeah, we have a project working with them. They have the Farcaster mini apps, and so they actually have like a whole SDK in a way of like creating apps in Farcaster, which would be like the go-to method, I think, for creating AI agents on Farcaster. Yeah, I can't speak about all the specifics of that, but yeah, again, with our core browser SDK support or the server style, you could very easily integrate elizaOS into their mini app SDK, and you could use it to power agentic experiences inside Farcaster very easily, as well as every single other platform in the world, of course, because we're Eliza. We have 200 plus plugins, but
A
yeah,
lot of methods. So I mean, just to build on question there. Sorry to cut in, CJ. Was more curious on actual Farcaster bots that use Eliza under the hood. So there's two that I'm aware of, and the first one is a video creation agent. Calls two different LLMs, video generation LLMs, and you do that from the Farcaster feed. It's a bit of an interactive experience. You effectively buy the token of that project to then pay for the LLM call. So it's like a pay per play to access VO, or I can't remember their model's name, but it's slightly cheaper than what VO costs. And that's called Bonsai. The other product, or the other app is tip.md, not tip.cc. There's two. Tip.md is the other mini app, and that is from a developer that is very close to the framework team, a guy called OX Rome, who's incredible. And essentially, it's a tool where you can tip an open source developer very quickly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think he's like one of the top 10 apps on Farcaster, or mini apps on Farcaster. And yeah, if you basically give yourself the ability to be tipped from your GitHub, you can then through Farcaster just send a thank you to your favorite open source developer. CJ, of course, could be that person. So, but yeah, that's they're the two mini apps that I'm aware of. I think prediction market, like fan agent, prediction markets, fan agents, and then prediction market execution. I think that combination is quite interesting for Farcaster. There's one called Brackley, which isn't an Eliza agent, but it's a similar sort of mini app concept where you use the sentiment analysis of an agent engine and you combine that with the ability to execute in a prediction market. And I think that's quite a nice experience or app, which is all it is really, for somebody coming in. But yeah, that's all I know. I mean, CJ, without knowing, the reason I said is I was trying to mess around with Eliza V2 Farcaster plugin, but faced some friction getting it fully set up. Oh, really? Okay. It's
currently undergoing some development right now. Like we have a team working on like a new version of it.
Okay.
There will be like a bigger. I can't leak it, but there will be a bigger Farcaster thing from Eliza pretty soon, which is exciting.
There we go. Yeah. I mean, like everything, we're kind of building and putting things together. So yeah, they're the two that I know is working. But that's exciting to hear as well. Does he? Yeah, Rabbit. Maybe I was wondering if it was the connection between my OBS and Discord. So yeah, Borka, I don't know if you're still with us. From a product perspective, whether you can share anything forward facing or not, I'll leave that for you to decide. But like, yeah, maybe what's happened in the last few weeks. What have you seen as an output that has been notable? And then if you have anything future facing, we could dive in there as well.
Yeah, definitely. Can you guys hear me well?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so I think from this sort of meeting style, I would love to run the community through our 2 to 3 month roadmap. I think it makes more sense for us to be much more open about what we've been building. I think typically the Eliza building style has been heads down, work hard, but maybe we don't really communicate it as much as we should. And so we're here to change that and open it up. So yeah, I can walk you through our 2 to 3 month roadmap at a high level. So yeah, the first part that we're really focusing on is elizaOS class, as well as our core API. And so right now, elizaOS in this sense is somewhat fragmented, right? So you've got the CLI, you've got the server code, you've got direct runtime calls. So we're kind of really consolidating all of that into a more single, programmatic sort of entry point. And so what that means is instead of writing, boilerplate or hacking things together, you'll be able to spin up agents, start or stop them, and then set global defaults all through one sort of API. And so that's really our goal there with elizaOS class. And I think that foundation really kind of sets Eliza up to be really, really developer friendly. We've got a ton of things in the background, right? We're working on the runtime cleanup / optimization. So it really is powerful, but somewhat messy at this point. And so we're cleaning that up so developers can kind of trust it as like a stable core, right? So whether that's like enforcing, making projects more editable after they're started, or maybe introducing, hot reloads, for example, so you don't have to restart everything to tweak everything. We're adding observability, sorry. And then just kind of making the runtime cleaner and more accessible. One of the biggest things, especially as we're introducing and being introduced to more agent swarms, as well as increased capabilities of actions for agents, both sequential and in parallel, is the whole concept of like message bus simplification, right? I think that's one of the biggest pain points our developers have communicated to us. And so that's one thing we're really kind of focusing on. And so we're replacing it with cleaner, more optional message bus class. So if you're running like I don't know, like one agent, you know, you might not even need it. But if you're orchestrating a lot of agents, which a lot of people will very soon, as agentic AI just becomes more and more capable, you'll get more simple APIs, right? Like join room, leave room, filtering, all those good things. And that leads kind of to the next one, which is more simplified agent interaction, right? I think this is where you're starting to see, you know, increased capabilities such as agent-to-agent communication. And so we want to be very much at the forefront of that. And so that's what we're also focusing on. Two bigger sort of features that we're working on as well is, you know, as MCPs kind of starting to take the lead in the race of the way that agents are able to action specific tools and services. This is something we're very much focusing on in accordance and alongside our current plugin stack. We also want to have, you know, a very capable MCP plugin that essentially acts as a gateway. And so this is our way of kind of giving these Eliza agents much more, many more capabilities, I guess, by letting them kind of access anything from like crypto, financial data, basically anything you would want in a more like unified sort of interface, right? And so on top of that, just because of MCP, we think it makes sense as well to kind of start solving this payment problem. And obviously the X402 has kind of been the biggest sort of player here. And so that's what we're focusing on as well in accordance with MCP. And so it makes sense for us to start to go down this route and this dynamic. And then I think the last missing piece here is how does this all come together? And I would say that's where we highlight what we're building right now, which is Eliza Cloud, right? So think of this as like, this is like the front door into the Eliza ecosystem, a much more manageable way for not only developers, experts, but also novices to be able to, you know, manage an Eliza agent, create one, and then all on one managed SaaS platform that makes it really simple to like build, deploy, manage your agents, etc. And so, you know, with that comes a lot of like different things you have to juggle, whether it's like infrastructure or billing, API keys, database, like it can get messy, right? And so I think the idea is that Eliza Cloud takes all that complexity away. You simply log in and you create an agent or multiple agents through a dashboard. And kind of that's the way that you're able to deploy and run them on our infrastructure. And this is where you start to see that, you know, people have been asking us, like, where does the utility come in for our token? Well, this is actually where it begins. Like this is where the pillar begins for what you can do with the i16z. I won't go too far into how it will be utilized. We're not really there yet to communicate it, but the vision is very much clear. Yeah. So that's a quick update from my side.
Nice. Very interesting. And some of that I learned myself as well. But I mean, the developer experience from Eliza Cloud, you know, I think it's looping back to what I said earlier, when we look at Vercel and we look at Manus, and we think about how do people want to use agents or build agents. You know, I think it's a big step forward, right? It's a big step forward from, I guess, who can get hands-on with Eliza, and then also within that, from a dev experience, what can we provide, and therefore, like, you know, what type of services can we offer to those who want to have open source agents operating. So yeah, interesting, Borka, and I guess, like, on behalf of the community, I feel like I almost have to ask when, like, where are we at? What is the timeframes for this?
Yeah. So everything I mentioned in the beginning, that's very much a September, October sort of release date. MCP follows right after that, if not also in October. Eliza Cloud, we're trying to get out by the end of the year, if not much earlier, depending on how far we can get. We obviously want to do it right, especially with this aspect of the token actually getting real utility here. It won't be the only utility, of course. We're planning bigger and better things as well. But yeah, we want to get this right, and the goal right now is by the end of the year, which is what that gives us less than 3 months.
Oh. I mean, we're kind of moving in a new industry here, so 3 months is not a short time, but also a good amount of time to make something happen, right? And I'm looking forward to I'm looking forward to where we're going to be in about 6 months from now. I think we'll be in a really good place.
Yeah, totally.
Def Connect's also in the end of November. I don't know if that's something we can. I guess that's maybe shortening the time frames, but that could be interesting.
Yeah, another thing I can actually mention is we have been speaking with the Ethereum team regarding their creation of the 8004 protocol regarding agent discoverability as well as trust. And so we very much want to be at the forefront as that as well. And so, yeah, as you could see, we have kind of this foundation that we've been building for the last 6 months or so. And now we're really starting to build on top of this foundation. The foundation took some time to get right with, and you saw that with V2. And now we just kind of have the ultimate ability to be creative and to get these things down in Eliza and really go from there. So yeah, we're super excited here.
Yeah, I hear you on the framework side. I mean, I see builders day in day out who have been building with V2 since probably like March, April time, who are kind of just like, this is, it's in such a good place. Everything is easy to use. Things are working as expected. I went in and recorded some product walkthroughs of the GUI today, which was quite nice to be able to do finally, and just kind of showcase how good everything looks. So yeah, I mean, yeah, we're in a good place. I mean, I say this to a lot of people as well. Like, we are in a good place. If we maybe didn't have our X account suspended, we would be it's like the thorn in our heel at the moment. But beyond that, everything else is really moving along nicely, right? And CJ, I mean, from a technical perspective, how does that roadmap align to some of the things that you maybe be working on? What are you looking forward to kind of building within the various pieces that Boris mentioned?
Yeah, I think the SaaS, the cloud, Eliza Cloud is super important to the ecosystem for a few reasons. One is, yes, it's pretty painful for people to like manage like 10 different keys and all that stuff. And so if we're able to offer, if we are going to come back to Twitter automation bots and stuff, it would be through like a Twitter enterprise license. So like our SaaS would facilitate that management for users, and people could like log in and like create an account and stuff like that. That's probably, if we were to see Twitter come back, it would be proper like that again. As well as like Eliza hasn't had the best multi-user authentication systems yet. And so how do you manage like a hosted front end that has like authenticated users on like a login system? We're going to offer like a login with Eliza thing. So you could actually take your data and take your agents to like multiple platforms, or come to like a mobile app, or go to different multiple websites and still retain your data, because like our cloud will like host your databases for you. And so there's a lot of like that missing infrastructure stuff that a lot of people are willing to pay for, because obviously we can do it better than most people, because like we know the Eliza system very well, and we're able to ship like features to go with some of these improvements as we do it. We're a very well positioned team to be working on that. But yeah, I think that's the cloud. I think the cloud, initially it's the login systems, login with Eliza, then it'll expand, like fine tune models, where we have been working on what would it look like to ask for people's data in their system. I can talk about this. It would be an open source thing. It'd be opt out or whatever. We'd have like a privacy policy. But what if we did start collecting some of people's secure prompts in like a secure way? Like, how can we do this? Maybe through T, or like heavy encryption, blockchain encryption. We could do like a agent chain data collection thing that was like very safe. Through that, we could fine tune models to be like better with Eliza. So if you want like really, really crazy Twitter agents, the best way to do that would be to like train a model on like Twitter interactions. We haven't really done that yet. So we could push the boundaries of like agent benchmarks and stuff. We actually did do that. We did do the tile benchmark recently. Joker and TCM, they got the tile benchmark like up to industry standards on Eliza. We tested it out, like retail's fully working. Um, and so, but then it's like, okay, it's around like 70% success rate kind of thing, as all the models are. How do we bump that up to 95% success rate with like action calling? We're thinking that that's going to be fine tuning. The SAS will probably facilitate that data collection to be able to fine tune. Yeah, I just want to see like
Did you say
people make.
Tau?
Yeah, it's a agentic benchmark
Oh, okay.
framework.
Not BitTensor or TensorFlex.
No,
Okay. Nice.
no.
I mean, on that note of benchmarking, is that something we can talk about at the minute, or is that still?
Yeah, basically, I don't have all the reports here, but we did do a report thing. We're basically at the same level as like everything else. We're not better than everything else, but we're not worse than everything else. So but yeah, action calling has actually been verified to be as accurate as tool calling. It's literally basically the exactly same process as tool calling, but we have a more dynamic SDK for handling things like dynamic providers and dynamic actions, and there's just like a little bit more fine grainedness that you're able to do in Eliza actions than vanilla tools. But there was like a big internal discussion over should we move to like real tools or should we stay with actions, and then we like went in deep and like actually benchmarked is our action system like as good as tool calling, and it turned out it's literally just as good. And so how are we going to push the boundary of just as good to like much better? That's what we have been working on.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's nice. I don't know whether I should add some color to the Ethereum Foundation, what we're exploring there. I mean, it's no secret that 8004 is in the public, and I think as agents evolve and become smarter, there is an opportunity for them to become autonomous, and therefore, how do you do that safely? I mean, there's no kind of secret that as an agent framework, that is quite an interesting primitive to utilize. And yeah, the Ethereum Foundation are very so keen to kind of to work together with us on how we're kind of practically going to roll this out into agent teams and agent builders across the Eliza ecosystem. So that's an interesting workflow that I can comment on myself, and I think we're right at the start of that. Just like timeline wise, 8004 is there's a proposal at the moment around how it takes shape. Ethereum proposals typically sit for 3 months and have numerous people input and review, and then it will get firmed up towards the end of the year. I think like early next year will be a bit more of a tangible how do we approach this and use this. But yeah, we're kind of exploring with the proposal creators and EF, just what can we do with it. And I think from like a product standpoint, the interesting thing is not necessarily jumping straight into economic agents that leverage blockchains, but how do you use entertainment or gaming as a way to see how reputation-based autonomous entities interact or extract from each other, or take away, try and steal things out of each other's wallets. So yeah, that's I think that's where we're positioned in the market, where we're positioned against competitors, which are the Vassals and Manuses in reality. I think again, I think that's an area that we can find our edge. Although I thought it was interesting this week that Vassal integrated X402, and then Google also did that. What did you think to that?
Yeah, I think Vercel is selling shovels very well. I think you want to be careful as a agentic startup person what you're making you want to be very product focused because a lot of these, I know like at the beginning of X402, like seeing like everyone's like, I'm gonna make X402 startup, and then like Vercel comes in, they like one line SDK it, and then it's just like done. It's like GG's. But that's not the point of all this. I would like to see somebody make like an X402 eBay through the A2A protocol. So can we have, these are things that like Vercel and Google won't do, which you could like,
Mm.
there's lots to still play with like we should have like a marketplace for like X402 stuff, or like even API access through X402. We should see it adopted. What I'd like to see is companies like, say, I don't know, like Twitter could have an API that's X402'd, and like each Twitter post is like on the A2A MCP registry like in Ethereum. And if you'd like to like do a Twitter search for like a trend item on Twitter, you can like send some crypto on X402 to like an agent that has like the Twitter subscription. It'll perform the search and then like send you the trend data back just for like 10 cents on a transaction or something. I think that's what we'll see. We'll see a lot of stuff hosted like that. And I would like to, there'll be some very cool experiments. I think that there isn't any front ends for this stuff. So if people want to like work on things, I was talking about that yesterday in the chat of like, there's not very many launch pads for any of this swarms. Like whoever goes and just makes like the straight up the A2A visualization thing for like Ethereum, I would start working on that like right now. That's gonna be a website for sure. And whoever owns that is going to definitely have probably a business there for being able to launch agents into the swarm and interact with them and load up a wallet and just do it all click 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 through the browser. I think that's a really good project. I'd like to see that done by somebody.
Yeah, I mean, like the Ethereum standards. I can't remember what the standard for the intents was. I think it was 8224. Don't quote me on that. I may be getting the two mixed up, but there was like a whole wave of new protocols that got built with just intents. Like, it's when these are introduced to Ethereum, there's so much that comes out the other side of it. So yeah, I could see that. I mean, X402 plus 8004 in an agent is it's kind of like the infrastructure emerging, isn't it? It's starting to become a little bit clear around where it could head.
And the agentic sandbox economy was something I was talking about before even Google shipped the paper. But I think a lot of some of the doomers were like, why make agent economy when there's like not like agents that I want to pay for, like some doomer take like that. The whole idea though is like that sentence is like saying before the Apple App Store was invented on iPhone, some doomer would say, why would I want to play games on my cell phone? Right? Like I don't have games on my cell phone yet. I don't have Facebook. And they're like, this is stupid. This is kind of until the App Store was shipped, which is basically the A2A network. It's going to incentivize developers to start building on it. And once like little revenues start trickling in and people figure out what agents are actually willing to pay for, you're going to see like inventions of like things you can't even think about yet. Like you don't even know like what they are. And then it's going to snowball effect very quickly and you'll see like a multi-million-dollar A2A economy start flourishing just by the basics of like supply and demand. And it will happen for sure.
It will happen. I think that, I mean, we've had chats on this on the commercial side as well, like 6 to 12 months minimum. Like, we're still, I think like payment, I mean, the payments is moving very quickly. Like for an agent to have agents deliver services for another agent. I mean, you know what's going to happen. Someone will try and exploit it. Someone will try and take money off the agent without it doing the service. There'll be agents going around robbing other agents. Like that's just what humans will do to it, right? And we need to protect. We need to have the processes or let's say the infrastructure there to securely do that, which is kind of what we're working on. That's why we're here, right? In some ways.
Yeah, for sure. No, we're directly in touch with the Ethereum team about this stuff, and we will be on top of all these integrations for sure, as the leading agentic Web3 framework should be.
Boris, what's your thoughts on X402? What are you kind of so excited about seeing, or maybe not excited about seeing?
I mean, I just love the logical approach. And it's very simple agent-to-agent payment. And I think it goes very well with what we're talking about here with 8004, right? The way I always think about it is, going to more of Web 2, right? Like as soon as you can create, or companies such as like booking.com or trip.com, as soon as they're comfortable enough with just delegating all of their work to an agent that they've essentially created or someone has created for them, that's able to communicate with like trip purchasers agents, it's like our own agents, for example, like as soon as that's ready to go, there needs to be a standard, there needs to be a protocol for both payment as well as trust. And that's where 8004 and X402 come in. And those protocols are kind of essentially being built. Like the railways are being built, the railroad is being built before the steam engine has been invented. Like that's kind of how I'm looking at it right now. We're building that railway.
I agree.
Nice. Well, look, we've got like 10 minutes till the end. There's a few questions from the community. Rabid, I cannot comment on your first question, I'm afraid. Just to your point on the license, I don't know if I can read all that out loud, Rabid. But yeah, on the license, ENT license as a front door to use XCRP would be awesome and horribly expensive. I agree. We should integrate shoots for LLM access that is far cheaper and allows for NSWFW use cases. That is kind of like what computers doing in some ways, right? Is that the right thing, the right way to think about that, CJ? And if you can see the comment.
They're more into fine tuning and trying to host like super custom models, but yeah, the not safe for work use cases, yeah, that is basically fine tune. How do we offer that as you can just literally hook up an NSFW model to Eliza right now. I'm pretty sure it'll be NSFW. Like we don't have any prompts in the Eliza code base that's like, please be like adult friendly or whatever. It's just strictly down to whether or not the model will allow it. So, but yeah, in terms of like generating videos and images and stuff, that's a whole nother question.
Yeah.
But
I mean, when you have decentralized compute and decentralized inference and open source ways of doing it, then that's one of the upsides of it. This is all potentially going to get censored or controlled at some point. Not in the early days, as we see, as platforms play out. And then the other question is the simple sample use case: research cheapest flight that is refundable from a non-stop trip to Barbados from date I to date. So let's do personal agent A that uses ERP to find reputable agents. So essentially, exactly. So like in that scenario, if somebody was using an agent, an actual agent, like an agentic agent, not a travel agent, to book a trip, then yes, you'd need to make sure that the person that agent, or not the person, but the entity that agent was interfacing with was a trustworthy source. Otherwise, as I say, what will happen? There'll be somebody on the side who just takes the money and it's a fake ticket. So that's why this is kind of important. And interestingly, like a lot of the EIP is off-chain at the minute. It's the ERC 8004. So a lot of the ERC is actually an off-chain database, where they're mainly using Ethereum as just it's like a validation layer for what is stored off-chain. I spent 4 years working in the Oracle space. It reminds me a lot of like trust assumptions around the inputs from how do you define if that agent is trustworthy is just as important of how do you actually calculate a reputation score. And I think the calculation of the reputation score is something we might be able to have a nuance on as Eliza, but I think getting that from an off-chain on-chain is also an area that we could perhaps let's say own or add value to. How do we deliver that to an agent? How do we make sure it's delivered there securely? How do we do, if it's financial transactions, how do you make sure that it has the right data via MCPs, for example? Because the other thing, when like in a game, it's okay, but when it becomes buying a flight ticket and you lose maybe $1,000, like, that's going to be pretty annoying for people. Or if you're trading, or if you're doing a loan or whatever else you want to do, like then it becomes even more important.
I think slashing will have to be a thing. Agents will have to stake a certain amount in the network to exist, and if they start scamming, then they get slashed by the network. I think it'll be something like that.
think
Yeah,
it
you have
was,
staking and you have TE as well. Attestation, I think, will be a big thing. I think it's all in the A004 paper, but the reputation part, especially, I think we'll have some sort of scalar weighted average, most likely. And like CJ said, right? If not only the server agent as well as the validation agent, if there is one, they will have to probably have some sort of stake that they would essentially lose if they were to be malicious actors.
Just looking at the, I think I saw EigenLayer was used in the Google A2P framework that was announced yesterday. So like, I mean, EigenLayer, I don't know if they have introduced the slashing. I don't follow it too closely, but that was one of the primitives that they would have from the validation layer, from the staking layer that they have, which just provides verification or validation. I say just, it's quite important to be fair, but yeah, maybe that is. You can see other crypto firms supporting this include Sui, prominent MetaMask, which will be Marco and Co, and then EigenLabs. Yeah. So yeah, I wonder if that must be their take on it. They must be very focused on that, which makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I mean, just whilst I'm looking at this as well. So Google was AI agent payments protocol backed by Coinbase and Ethereum Foundation. Did you guys see that at all? No? A2P. Yes.
Oh yeah, I've seen A2P
2 days ago.
I've just seen it like a day ago.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like clones of this coming out. It's like all very similar. But
nice. Well, look, we're on the 45-minute mark. I think we've got no more questions. Shall we call that a wrap?
Sure.
Yeah. Cool. Well, look, we should do this more often. Thank you so much for the updates, guys. And to everyone that's listened and asked some questions, we're always here if you want to ask any more questions. Literally, one of us will probably be online somewhere. We're across all corners of the world. But yeah, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right. Cheers.
Thanks, guys.